first speaker is Gina Lee. Gina is the author of The State of the Circular Economy in America. She's also the founder of Circular CoLab. Gina will provide an overview of the guiding principles of the circular economy and highlight innovative American businesses and organizations that have already built circular solutions. Welcome, Gina.
Morning, everyone. So who here has heard the term circular economy? Oh, awesome. Can someone offer their definition of it? Front row? Anybody? No one wants to? Okay. It's early. A circular economy is a system where designing for product and material value and keeping that value in recirculation. So you can compare that with our current economy, which is linear, because we currently take resources, we manufacture products, and for the most part, we lose that value because we waste or landfill or burn those products and materials. So circular economy aims to keep that value within the economic system so that we can really have economic growth free, ideally, from resource constraints. Recycling clearly is an important component of the circular economy, but it is just one of many processes that are needed to make the system work. So if you look at the smaller circles, they represent the upstream value-added processes that are needed to keep products in value before they reach their end of life, and then the need for material recirculation. Product design is very important here, so thinking about are products made for longevity, are they made for ease of upgradability, durability, remanufacturing and repair, and then is there that infrastructure to support that secondary market once that product has reached its first life and wants to continue through a secondary or tertiary life cycle. Business model innovation is also very important here because circular economy promotes the idea of product as a service model, so de-emphasizing ownership and looking more at what is the service we're after. So Lyft and Uber could be an example of a product as a service model where we don't necessarily need to own a car, but we're just looking for that transportation service. And folks are very excited about the circular economy because, again, it presents a win for the economy because we're growing without continuing to degrade our planet. So a 2015 McKinsey and Ellen MacArthur Foundation study said that just for the EU alone, by 2030, the circular economy could add $1.8 trillion in value, decrease material consumption by 53%, as well as lower greenhouse gas emissions by 83%. Those last two numbers are for 2050. So the potential is really enormous. And this sounds great, but what does this look like in practice? What are some companies that are approaching circular economy to innovate? And actually, apologies, the first company is not a US one. This first company is focused on closing the material loop. IKEA is the company, and they've really taken a multi-pronged approach to the circular economy. The first one is through financing. They, in 2017, announced a $1 billion fund to focus on investing in forestry, renewable energy, recycling technologies, as well as biomaterials. And their first purchase with this fund was in 2017, purchasing a 15% stake in a Dutch plastic recycling plant. So that's very interesting that this consumer manufacturer is getting involved in recycling. They're also experimenting with take-back programs. So in Japan, they launched a program in 2018, and they also have a take-back program in Glasgow. They're launching one in 2019, and in, I think Edinburgh. So the take-back program is a way for them to close the loop on receiving their materials and ideally putting those resources back into the manufacturing stream. IKEA is also experimenting with new business models. So just this February, they announced a pilot program in Switzerland for their corporate clients to lease furniture as opposed to purchase furniture, another way to close the loop on materials. And lastly, they're looking, of course, at product design. I tried to find this online, so maybe it's not available anymore, but they have a sofa that has a platform where you can repair and bring back just the parts of the sofa that are worn and damaged as opposed to purchasing an entire sofa. They've also made having spare parts readily accessible for consumers a priority, and in 2018 handled over 1 million spare parts. This next company is actually a coalition of companies, and I think their focus is actually on eliminating packaging and utilizing reverse logistics to do so. I think some of you may have heard about this program. They announced it at the World Economic Forum this year at Davos, and it's a coalition made up of many of the leading consumer product companies, such as Nestle, Unilever, Pepsi, Danone, and it is, I love this packaging. To me is beautiful. And it is, the reverse logistics is supplied by UPS, who has created a reusable tote for the delivery of the products. And the organizing party is TerraCycle. So what this Loop project aims to do is create a circular shopping platform for consumers. Some call it bringing back the milkman model. You order these products online. We can take another look at them, and they come to you in these durable, refillable packages. When you're done with the packages, when you're done with the products, you simply put the empty packages back in the tote and then schedule a free pickup, and then the system automatically refills those orders for you. According to Tom, the CEO of TerraCycle, he says that the durable packages reach a parity with single-use packaging after about 3 life cycles, because you have to take into account the reverse logistics and the washing process. So I think they're rolling this out in New York and Paris, and it will be a really interesting model to see if manufacturers really embrace this extended producer responsibility for their packaging and how consumers embrace it as well. This next example is a smaller company. It's one of my favorites. It's an example of how a small business can really be an innovator within the space with not necessarily a ton of resources. Brian was a lawyer when he founded this company, and he wanted to show large corporate entities that they could create closed-loop net zero manufacturing. So what he did was actually take used wetsuits, which he collects with the help of 30 retail partners located throughout Southern California, as well as Canada, and creates yoga mats out of them. Brian also looked at the business model, and he said that he wanted to offer yoga mats for life. And so you can actually return the yoga mat back to him, and he'll send you a new yoga mat, because he made his yoga mats to be completely recyclable, recirculatable throughout their lifetime. So it's a smaller company, Suga Mats, but to me this is truly a business that owns the manufacturing process using waste as a resource, and then has closed the loop on having responsibility for the end of life of its products. And the last innovator is using data to focus on product utilization, because if we can maximize the utilization of products, then we can purchase less and also enable more sharing. So this company is CoHelio, and they're focused on the medical equipment space within the healthcare system. Medical equipment is very expensive, $500,000, millions of dollars, and apparently the rates for utilization are quite low, lower than 50%. So CoHelio works with a consortium of hospitals to enable them to purchase products together, and then provides logistics for sharing of these products. In just 2 years, when working with Kaiser Permanente, were able to save Kaiser $8.6 million in capital expenditure costs. And it's very interesting because with tracking of machines, they can also help companies to forecast future equipment needs. So these innovators presented a diversity of different solutions within, within the circular economy space. So going forward, some trends we can look to, more and more stakeholder partnerships between private enterprises, as well as between research institutions, cities, and the private sector. we can talk about these examples later if you find me, since I'm running out of time. I think we'll see more and more demand for recycled content. We're already seeing that in packaging. My aim is to increase that within durable goods as well through the Upcyclers Network, and also more demand for secondary products as consumers become more aware around quality, that refurbed and remanufactured products are actually just as good as new, and that the stigma, if there was one, around buying secondhand used items dissipates. I think we're going to see growth in these markets. And then lastly, the last trend is different business model innovation. So really looking at, how do we focus less on product ownership and then have that ownership stay within the brand. An example I love is Michelin. They've been doing this for years. Instead of selling tires, they sell, if you are a fleet, they sell miles driven. If you are an airline, they sell number of airplane landings. And if you are a miner, they sell tons moved. So what they provide is tire as a service, and they provide the maintenance, end-of-life recycling, and you don't have to worry about it. And it's really helped them innovate their product too, because now they have an incentive to understand what their user needs are. So thank you for your time. For those interested in more circular economy examples focused on the U.S., check out the report, circularcolab.org. There's 200 examples. And then for those interested, what I'm working on now is looking really at the demand side for how do we support recycled and companies such as Suga and those utilizing recycled and recovered material as waste stock. And love to talk to you after. Thank you.
Great job getting that in 10 minutes. Are there any questions for Gina? We have 2 microphones. Let's see. Microphone, anybody? Rebecca.
I don't have a microphone. So the question is, when you were referencing that McKinsey study and referenced all kinds of GDP, are there any numbers about employment or like growth in jobs? And you can use the question into the microphone.
There is, and I can get it to you, but I don't know off the top of my head. But I can, the question was, are there numbers about growth in employment? And absolutely. There are numbers, I just don't have them off the top of my head, but I can send them out. Yeah.
Other questions? Raise your hand.
Hi, I'm Melanie. I had a question. The CoHelio, could you just, I didn't quite catch if they were repairing the equipment, or could you explain?
Oh, no.
For the Kaiser?
Yes. What CoHelio does is they enable sharing of equipment between healthcare systems. So they actually, it's almost like Amazon Prime for equipment. If you're a consortium of 5 hospitals located, I'm sure within a relatively close proximity, they can say you can schedule use on this equipment on Mondays, another hospital gets it Tuesdays, and so you're still having the same number of appointments, but you maybe just maximize your time on one day. And then you don't have to, not every hospital has to purchase the equipment.
All right, thank you, Gina.
Thank you.